So first of all, Sabaean, thank you for joining us on Turfcast podcast today.
No problem.
I just want to say on behalf of everyone at Turfcast, on behalf of probably 99, if not 100% of my listeners, that thank you for the funniest moment I ever remember at Turf Moor. That it was just sheer quality.
Quality.
So just take me back to that day then. Take me back to that day. Like, did you wake up in the morning thinking, right, today I'm going to make history?
No, well, I thought I was working as a bricklayer's labourer at the time, and it had sort of been mentioned at work, but I never thought much of it when we was going to the turf on that day. Gaza had just signed, so we was hoping we could get a view of Gaza, and there were a good buzz about the place. And then in the morning, because it were a Sunday match, I was watching Robbie Williams' Rock DJ video, and where he's taking his clothes off and dancing. My friend came to the house, and I said, "Hey, Wilbur, wouldn't it be funny if someone did a streak today?" And he went, "Oh, shut up, you idiot. No one's going to do a streak." So I went, "Oh, all right, then, no worries." So we went uptown to the pub in Barnoldswick, and I went to the bar to go get us a drink. And the lads have started coming over and said, Sab, let me get you a drink. And I went, no, it's right. I'm getting me and Wilbur a drink. And then someone else came. I thought, what's going on? Something's going on here. And they said, you're going to do a streak, aren't you? I said, am I hell? And I turned around and Wilbur's there going, streaker. So I thought, oh, shit, I'm going to have to do a streak. So as the day went on, everyone's buzzing. I got a permanent marker so we could draw the score on my bum. And I got this orange Gambian dress that I was going to go into the toilet and get changed and then come back into the crowd. So the days picked up and it started going from there. And when we got to the pubs in Burnley, everyone were telling all the lads in pub in Burnley, and everyone were buying drink after drink. So it just started from there, really. It were quite a good laugh for everybody.
So it's like a combination of alcohol and a bit of peer pressure as well.
Yeah, because I was 20 at the time, and sort of never really turned down a dare when you're that young. I just sort of went along with it. I didn't really realise, what it were going to bring, to be honest. So, yeah.
So talk me through what happens when you get onto turf then, because I would presume even though you're drunk and you're having a laugh and people are saying, oh, you're going to do it, there must have been some nerves there thinking, right, I can't remember the attendance. I presume it was like 15, 16,000 we'd been at Derby. You must have been there thinking, hold on a second, I might back out of this. Did you ever think about backing out at any stage?
To be honest, no, because back in the day, I were, totally one at lads, and I weren't actually, mad as it sounds, I weren't actually that drunk. I sort of sobered up, at the prospect of it, because it was in my mind that it was going to happen. And I think everybody around with me were more buzzing. Is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? And so we're at the turf. The game were a little bit drab, being honest, but everybody, the turf crowd, they're always in good spirits. And everyone would try to push me and saying, do it now. And I says, no, let's go to the toilet, go get changed, and then we'll see where we're at. And we're only about 4 or 5 rows back from the front behind the goals anyway. So we've gone to the toilet, me and 2 of my mates. I've got changed into my orange Gambian dress, and I'm bent over the sink, and my mate is drawing 2-0 on my bum at the time. And this big meathead has walked into the toilet with I'll never forget it, Lancashire skins tattooed on the side of his head. And he said, oh, what are you doing in here? No, mate, look, I'm going to do a streak, 2-0. So he's grabbed hold of me, hugging me, this big skinhead. And then it just sort of went from there. We've walked back out. I put my shirt back over the top of this Gambian dress so it didn't look conspicuous. And we've walked back into the stand. Everybody's pushing me, saying, do it now. But the game was in play. So I waited, and I've seen the ball go out for a corner or a throw in up at the top end. And I thought, right, now's the time. So I've took my shirt off, started clambering over the rows of seats, and I was going to run onto the pitch, just do a cartwheel and then run back into the stands. But as I've run onto the pitch, the crowd started seeing me, and you heard this, streaker. And the crowd, it's like everybody were just cheering for that moment. So I've just literally gone with the flow. I've run to the centre circle. I've shook hands with Glenn Little, and I said, you're the man, Glenn. He looked down at my little tackle and he said, good lad, good lad. And I were off. So I've run over to Preston fans at the opposite end. I stood there in all my glory, cold March afternoon.
Get the excuses in, eh?
Well, the Preston fans were loving it. And until I turned around and bent over with a 2-0 on my cheeks. And my favourite picture was in the Daily Sport. And I've got my elbows on my knees with a big cheesy grin with 2-0 on bum, smiling at Preston fans. And they're all booing me. And then I saw stewards starting to come. And it seemed strange that there were a delayed reaction because it's like a film producer. We're doing it. It was just perfect. I've started running back down to the other end. And that's where it's kicked in. The stewards have tried to grapple me, and I've run, shrugged the last steward off with a little bit of a weave, and I've started running back down the line. And this is where Bertie Bee has stepped out, and I honestly thought, knowing he's a club legend, that he were going to give me a hug. I thought he were going to give me a hug. So I run straight towards him, and it's not until I've got quite close to him that I've realised he's there to take me out. And then he set himself, but I was too close then, running with the momentum, and I've given a little jump in the air, and he's just wiped me clean out, just did a full-on somersault, landed on the floor. But that's just how it happened. It was crazy.
I think the best bit about that tackle for me is the fact that you don't just go to the ground. You're not just thrown to the ground. You actually go arse over tit. And the fact that there's a picture of Bertie Bee with your arse there with 2-0 written on it. It's the funniest thing ever. But what goes through someone's mind, right? You've just done that in front of 15,000, 16,000 people. You're on the floor. You've just been rugby tackled by a giant bee. Around, like I said, 16,000 people have just gone, hey, everyone's laughing at you. What are you thinking about at that point?
To be honest, it was just the adrenaline. The adrenaline was so immense, because I did it all out of good fun. I did it totally out of good, I didn't realize how it was going to work out. I didn't plan it to happen the way it did. And it was just, as I heard the crowd cheering me on, the adrenaline kicked in. I think looking at the video, my leg got caught under my back in an awkward position, but I didn't feel anything. It was just the adrenaline. It was amazing. Honestly, the crowd were on good song that day. It were awesome. Yeah.
Were you sore the day after or anything like that? Did you feel any pain? No. It looked quite a thump when you hit the ground.
Yeah. Well, so the story don't finish there. It actually there's more twists to it. So as the stewards are taking me off the pitch. One of the stewards, he actually gave me a couple of digs. He said, "What did you do that for? What did you do that for?" And I was still, buzzing because I'd just been stung by a bee. But as he's took me off the pitch, he took me down into a corner, and then a policeman has come over and grabbed hold of me, and I thought, "Oh no, I'm in for it now." But he's grabbed hold of me and said, "Oh, am I allowed to swear? Sorry."
Yeah, you can swear. You can swear on here.
He said, "Oh, you mad little bastard! What were you doing?" So we're looking, sort of surprised by his reaction. He's took me off under the stand and then shouted, "Lads, get the camera!" Put the handcuffs on me, left me stood there naked, and then they've all come over, coppers taking turn, one after another, of having pictures with their arms around me, put the police hat on me. There were all the big police horses there. They were in full force because it's a local derby.
Yeah.
And they just thought it was really, really funny. Now we've gone to the police station and they've let me put my orange dress back on. And as they were doing the fingerprints, all the police just found it really funny. And one of the police women have come through and says, "Oh, excuse me and the girls were just wondering what was wrote on your bum." So I turned around, lifted my skirt up, and went, "Whoa, 2-0, 2-0. She started laughing and run back into the other room and went 2-0, 2-0. And they just thought it were absolutely hilarious, which it sort of just went along with the day and the feeling of it all. It would just run so smoothly and so funny. It was just awesome. But the next day I didn't feel any pain. It was really funny because I was going to work. And as I were walking down the street, people, because Barn Olswick is absolutely full of Burnley fans, there's a really big following there, and people are beeping their horns out of the window going, "Streaker, streaker." And I thought, wow, what's going on? Before I left the house, it was actually the time of Big Breakfast and GMTV.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you about this.
Yeah, my mum was saying in the morning, "What have you done that for? Are you bloody stupid?" The phone rung and someone says, "Quick, Tina, turn on GMTV." So next thing, it's there showing me running across the pitch, and my mum's going, "What?" Someone's rung up and says, "Quick, turn on Big Breakfast." We turned on Big Breakfast, and everybody's there, Johnny Vaughan and that lot, laughing about it, saying, "Oh, this streaker," and showing it all. And I thought, "Wow, what's going on? What have I done?" It was just all good fun. It really.
It were mad, weren't it? Because it got so much coverage. It weren't just round here as well. Because I've recently put it back on the Turfcast page as well. It's on YouTube. I got it from there. But when I shared it, there's a North American Burnley fan who got in touch and said, "I remember this. I actually saw it on the TV over in America." So it just went worldwide. I mean, you would do. It's a naked streaker getting rugby tackled to the pitch by a giant bee. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a Burnley fan called Malcolm Brown. He lives out, I think, in Canada, North America, and he got in touch with my mum and was saying, "Oh, I've just seen it on the news over in Canada." And we're thinking, what? It's mad. I were once in Ibiza at a party, and there's all these Australian guys there, and they said, "Oh, look, we're on YouTube. We're on YouTube." So they showed me the video. We're all right, and I says, "Well, I'm on YouTube." So I've shown them the video, and they say, "No, that's not you. That's not you. That's the streaker." And I'm saying, "Yeah, I am the streaker." They were saying, "No, it's the streaker." And I says, "What do you mean the streaker?" They said, "This is on telly in Australia all the time. It's literally, we love it. You're the streaker." And, it's crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Do you still get it to this day then? Because obviously you told me about your 30th birthday cake as well. I'll let you go into that. But do you still get stuff like that, people's talking to you about it to this day?
Yeah, well, a year ago, I started on a local building site. And now our NHBC officer, Mark, he's from Baxenden, and he's an out-and-out Burnley fan. So someone had just mentioned it, and the site managers called me into the office and said, "Oh, I need a word with you." So I thought, "Oh, no, what's going on?" So we've walked into office, the NHBC officer and everyone's there, and says, "So what's this then about the streak?" And my face just dropped. I was like, "Oh, no." And then everybody burst out laughing. He went, "Oh, I'm a die-hard Burnley fan. I remember that. Absolutely brilliant. Go, come here, give us an hug." I was just like, wow. And people, I've never heard anything bad about it at all. Maybe someone said before, "Oh, when you went to court, what happened? Did they see it in a bad light?"
Yeah.
But going to court, the court thing, I did have to go to court. Like the judge has come out, he's read, gone through it all, and then he's come back out, and as he's retired, for some reason the door just opened, and the solicitors, the press, loads of people just started filling the courtroom, and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what's going on here?" And it's gone from being a few people in there to being absolutely packed. This is no joke. And when the judge has come back out, he's seen the courtroom absolutely packed. And I've had to stay standing. Everybody sat down, and he said, "Sabaean Myers, this is a very serious offence. I was at that football match. I didn't find it funny." I burst out laughing, and as the judges started laughing, the courtroom has just erupted. Everyone's in stitches, and I'm stood there just trying to keep a straight face, thinking, "It's a serious offence. I'm dying to laugh, but I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
Then everybody just saw the good side of it. They've the press came onto my building site where I was, and there's an ex-boxer from Burnley called Blue Butterworth. He's a big Burnley fan. I was working for him as his labourer at the time, and when I were back at work, the press have ended up coming onto site, getting me to go naked and climbing up the ladder naked with a nod on my shoulders, taking pictures. About a year or two later, the Burnley Express has got in touch with me, or Telegraph, and said, "We're doing something on skin cancer, and for builders, to say to cover up. Do you mind if we use your pictures for it and stuff?" And I'm like, "No, not at all." What happened at court was I got a £65 court cost and £65 club cost for Burnley, and then I've got a letter through from Burnley saying that they were banning me for life because they were trying to bring a family atmosphere to the game. But from on this, it's gone on to documentaries. Burnley have then had a full-size cardboard cutout of me with 2-0 on my bum over Bertie's shoulder in the club shop that loads of all my friends have told me about. And it's like a combination of, it snowballed. I've done about 5 interviews back in the day for Channel 5. I've done this. I went down to London, and it was the Channel 5 Christmas party. We had an interview on HMS President on River Thames, and then we got to go to the Channel 5 Christmas party with him in Soho. it's been it were amazing. It's crazy how it sort of stood the test, and the best thing is living in the area. All Burnley fans. I think is it Richard Chaplow, the ex-Burnley player? Is it? He was in a nightclub in Burnley once, a good 10, 15 years ago, and someone said, "Oh, that who I was," and he said, "Oh, I were a young lad in stands watching that match. Oh, let me buy you a drink. In fact, get a bottle of champagne for him." I got a bottle of champagne. It's crazy. It's good. I went to Tool Station in Burnley the other day. This one of the lads who were working there, Burnley tattoo on his arm. He said, "Oh, you look familiar. Do I know you?" And I says, "Well, a little bit of a bit of a sort of old sporting legend down Burnley for bearing me arse. To Preston fans were 2-0 on it, and then Bertie Bee wiped me out, and he was saying, 'No way, I were 15, I were at that match. It were absolutely brilliant. Wow, amazing, bud.'" So, yeah.
Yeah, funny. It's insane though, isn't it? Like you say, it's hilarious, but a lot of good came from it as well, because you did a lot of charity work as well.
Yeah, I did do a lot of charity work. I signed over any rights that they made me sign a declaration. I said when any money gets paid, I want it to go to the David Lewis Centre for Autism and Epilepsy and Bosom Friends in Barnoldswick. I've never had any proceeds of it for myself. I just signed it straight all over to charity, and there's meant to be a rumour whenever it gets shown. Money still goes to charity, so. I'm really happy with it. I did a couple of nights out. One night I ended up down Skipton with a Channel 5 film crew following me, where I've got a bucket for collections, where I had to be naked, and, pretty awesome. Yeah, funny.
Tell me about your 30th birthday, Caitlin.
Oh, yeah. My wife were a bit of a surprise. She got in touch with a lass from Colne, local cake maker, and asked if we could create some cake from the famous pose of me over the shoulder with Bertie Bee 2-0 on bum. But because it was my 30th, she's got it to draw 3-0 on it. And even now, some people still say, "Oh, I thought it was 2-0. And I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
my 30th."
I said the exact same thing, didn't I? When you sent it me, I said the exact same thing. I'm like, did it say 2-0? And you said, "Oh, it's because my 30th," and it all just made sense. Like, 30th, obviously. But I mean, how does it feel? Because obviously, not many people have had the chance to moon collectively around 3,500 Preston fans. That must be. I mean, I know you're not a Burnley fan, are you? You're a Liverpool fan, but still, that must be quite. Being a Burnley, Barnoldswick lad from the area, quite a sweet feeling. I mean, I would love. I'd never do it, obviously, but if I could have mooned 3,000 Preston fans at once, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, well, like you say, because I didn't fully understand the rivalry, but at first they was actually cheering me. It was like a bit out of Braveheart, where I'm stood there showing them the tackle, and then when I bent over it, I don't think it was even a vindictive boo. I think they were giving a joking boo. But now that I understand it a little bit more, local rivalries, all the more so, up the Clarets, fair play to them. Take that, Preston.
Obviously, it's quite a few years ago now. Things have changed in your life. Like you say, you've got a wife now. You've got a couple of children as well. Have you ever shown them the clip?
No, not yet. The wife's dad's never spoken about it, but he saw it, and then it came on telly once when I were there, and I had to leave. I had to leave the room, So it got a bit embarrassing, but. On that side of things, when they get older, it's everyone says you get 5 minutes of fame, and because it were all good feeling and all good came out of it and everything else and that lot. Strangely enough, I am pretty proud of it. Just for the local lads. Even though I am a Liverpool fan, it was only from 5 years old I supported Liverpool with my big brother. But I've grown up with all my best mates being Burnley fans. One of the best feelings I ever had. We had a massive barbecue, a massive party when it was the Burnley playoffs going up to the Premier League. Yeah. I've still got the T-shirt upstairs in my memorabilia. My mum's best mates, they're all Burnley fans. Mark Binns, who I got my travelling bug off. He absolutely, they're at Turf, him and his mum Kath, every single weekend. Whenever the matches are there, they're total diehard Burnley fans, and they love me even more for it. It's all. Burnley will always play a massive part. We're doing the streak and everything else, but I've always followed them. It just back in the day, they weren't on Sky Sports as much, as Man United were, Liverpool were when I first got big into football. So, it's one of those, isn't it? Stick with me forever, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not many people go down in Burnley history without actually playing for the club, so fair enough. At least you managed that, mate. At least you managed that. But thank you for joining us, and thank you for telling your story, mate.
Excellent. All the best, buddy.